Well, strategy for so long has been framed in the wrong way. The question has always been, where do we go and where are we going to grow? But if you develop a strategy only through that lens, it won't be executable. How can you execute your strategy if you haven't asked yourself, what few things do we have to do better than anyone else? And who are we really going to be? And what will our value proposition be in market? If you haven't asked those fundamental questions, then strategy just will not be executable.
In fact, if you talk to executives, you'll find we have an epidemic of bad strategy right now. You've got so many different approaches to how to actually conduct strategy, how to execute strategy, and executives are exhausted. In a recent survey, over 4,000 executives, more than half of them said they had no confidence in their strategy. More than 2/3 of those that said they had a winning strategy said they don't even have the capabilities to execute. So they're picking good directions, but they don't have the execution powerhouse that they need to actually get value out of strategy.
Too many companies separate strategy from execution, and what they need is a practical strategy. A strategy that asks, what few things do we have to do better than anyone else to win? What capabilities are we building, and how do we translate those into the everyday so that every employee in the company knows how it is that they're fulfilling that strategy and what it is that they're doing day in and day out to actually cause that company to win?
We've all been there, right? The strategy is completed. People are excited about the market that's chosen. We have a great binder. What happens next is the executives in the organization get a hold of the strategy and they're asked to execute it. Functional leaders then have to translate this wonderful direction into capabilities at the end of the day. And if capabilities weren't part of the strategy, you've basically created the strategy through execution gap. Functional leaders are going to struggle. They're going to try to invest in lots of different areas. They're going to become okay at many things, great at nothing. That's where strategy fails.
It's only when a strategy is framed through a capabilities lens that it is practical, that it can be executed, that it can be translated into the everyday. If that is done, then strategy is translated from paper in those binders onto the pavement.
Well, one of the most important tests when you're thinking about strategy through execution are budgets. Budgets are what drive companies. Think about whether your budget exercise today is truly integrated with your strategy exercise. In most cases, it is not. The reason why it's not is because functions drive budgets. They're thinking about all of the best practices they're trying to develop. They're thinking about all of the SG&A that they're investing in. They're not always thinking about those few capabilities that span functional boundaries. This is a recipe for disaster when you're looking at budgets through a functional lens. You've really got to get past that. Your capabilities are your growth engine. This is where you've got to spend your energy. This is where you've got to work cross-functionally. And until you do that, strategy will always be separate from execution.
Many companies get it wrong. They do the opposite of what needs to be done, and they become grossly incoherent. And we've looked at some of the most coherent companies, and we see something very different. Most companies chase growth, but they end up chasing opportunities on the margin where they have no right to win. Coherent companies are clear-minded about who they're going to be, what capabilities they need to win, and what products and services they're going to take to market. And incoherent companies are all about being dynamic and being agile, but what does that mean? That's a recipe for actually giving up on your strategy in the false hope that somehow if you listen better to customers and if you listen better to your competition, you will somehow hit on a better idea over time. And coherent companies don't do that. Coherent companies choose to lead in market and choose to become a super competitor in their industries doing something better than anyone else can do.
This is how you execute. You connect strategy through execution through the capabilities that are going to be more important than anything else in your organization. We see companies that pursue this approach as extremely coherent. They've got the engine of capabilities behind them. Their entire organization understands the direction. People come to work seeing the mission of what they're trying to do and understanding what their role plays in that. That's where companies have a right to win. That's where they can create sustainable value. That's where a legacy is made.